Good
Morning.
afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and good morning still if you are on the West Coast. This is Amped Up. I am Lawrence Winterman, joined by the amazing Ellie Leonard. Hey,
Hello,
Ellie.
hello. How are you, Lawrence?
I am doing well. For folks who don't know, Ellie and I are part of Blue Ant Media, and we are standing in today for the inimitable Cliff Schechter and the amazing David Schuster. Cliff is on a jet plane coming home from Italy.
Italy.
David, I'm so jealous, right? We told him he must get us lots of limoncello in payment.
Yes, I've heard. It's
And
great.
David is celebrating a big family milestone this week. So Mazel Tov to David and his entire family. Ellie, how the heck are you?
Well, I'm great. It's not Friday, but it is Wednesday, and it's beautiful outside, and we're kind of in, you think in the military, they have like Hell Week. At the end of the year, for parents of small children, it's very, very similar because it's every, field day, every concert. We've now had 4 concerts. Last night was a recorder concert, which is an extra
Ooh.
special one for everyone. I posted something about it, but my son's like, "I don't actually play the notes, I just blow." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, all right then." Sounds about right. So we had that, and then we have banquets, and we have end of year baseball picnics and games. Like, it's just birthday parties. Everything is piled on top of everything else. So once we get, I think, past this weekend, it's smooth sailing. But man, that end of the year is tough. How about you?
I feel for you. I remember how hectic things were at the end of school year, when I
Uh-huh.
was a kid, and I can only imagine doing that for 4 kids simultaneously. You are a
Yes.
superhero.
Thank you. Well, we're going into next year will be our one and only year where all 4 kids will be going to 4 different schools just
Mm,
because of their ages.
yeah.
And I don't even want to think about what that looks like.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have a special guest with us today who's not currently sitting in her chair, so I'm not bringing her on right at this
Dana.
moment.
Sure.
Here she is. Okay, let's welcome Dana Dubois to the conversation. Hello, Dana.
Hello, Lawrence. Hello, Ellie. Hello, everyone out there in Blue Amp Land. It's so nice to be here.
Yes, we for those who don't know, Dana and I are dearest friends. We've known each other for 47 years. For real, that's not a made up number. Right.
Sorry, I don't know how that's possible, but
Right,
yes.
since we're both 29. And
Mhm.
and Dana and I co-host a show in the mornings called The Daily Whatever Show.
Yes,
Hopefully
we
you
do.
watch it. We have a lot of fun. Ellie has been a frequent guest on the show. But how are you doing today, Dana?
I am doing well, Lawrence. It was an emotional show this morning on the Daily Whatever Show.
Mhm.
And I don't know about you, but it's really been sitting with me all morning. Is it okay if I talk about it for a moment before we jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a special guest this morning, a Substacker named Rosie the Resistor, who is really dear to many of us, and a great
She's come,
Substacker.
yeah, and she came on Amped Up once. So
She's been on Amped Up.
she is known to Blue Ant Media and to the Daily Whatever Show. But she is terminally ill.
Yes. And
And
she asked us to come on the show so that she could say goodbye to her Substack community. It was really intense and really emotional and special in a way that, things like that can be. I kind of don't
yeah,
know what else to say about it other than we love her and we miss her already. And it was hard, but it was so gratifying to be able to do that.
Yeah.
+1 to all of that. And um, it was so wonderful in the way that Rosie is wonderful because she's always so transparent and so forthright. And death is something that we never talk about. It was hard to ask her questions at the beginning because
It was.
you're like, am I allowed to say this or to ask this? And she was just like, I want to say goodbye, and I want to be like, she has planned every step of her death on Substack even, right? And this was part of it, that she wanted a moment to say, like, it's okay to say goodbye and to acknowledge the end is coming. But it does make other problems seem, if not irrelevant, it makes them seem smaller in the scheme of how human we all are at the end of the day.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I'm kind of doing a hard pivot off of that.
Please do. I was going to do a really crass one of like, and speaking of people who may not be medically well.
Right. There is this, we kind of put this as the headline and the thumbnail for today's show. And this is a hard thing, right? Because we have no idea if this is true. We have no idea if the speculation that's out there is remotely legit. But people that we trust, like Mike Brock, who has been on Amped Up previously. Mike Brock wrote a piece alleging that Donald Trump has died and that there is a cover-up happening. And then in addition to that, there have been posts and tweets. For example, there was a tweet from Mark Slipinski, who alleges that Donald Trump had a stroke and that is being covered up. And as I dug into this, I found that there are little like blips and drips of rumor out there about infighting between the Vance and Rubio camps over who is going to be in control. What do you all think?
I want to hear what Ellie has to think first.
I'm generally an optimistic person, which this feels weird as that would be my optimism. Coming off the primaries yesterday and knowing that we have to deal with Spencer Pratt for another 6 months, right. I'm not hopeful for really great things right now.
Such a good point.
I've learned, I'm one of those millennials who has ridden the wave of disappointment my whole life and tried to do it with a smile on my face. And, it could be like his health is not great. He's turning 80 years old. He's not like when we think of his father who died with Alzheimer's. Trump is in a lot worse shape than his father was. He has he's obese. He clearly is getting some kind of IVs daily, which is why he has got the, bruising on the back of his hand. He's clearly got some kind of congestive heart failure. He's got the water, on his ankle. Like he's not in great health, and he's 80, and he's also probably the dementia. I mean, these are normal things for like a person who is 80, who's in great health, who still has health problems at that point. So when you add in that he has a horrible diet, he's proud of his horrible diet. He's a very emotional, and anger ages people. Like not even cantankerous, like cruelty ages people.
Right.
And also he's having a severe pity party because everybody canceled on his birthday. He lost Milli Vanilli.
The tragedy.
He's weeping the tears.
He's now saying he wants to keep the UFC cage permanently on the White House lawn. Maybe he's dead, and that will always be a maybe. And then I think we'll go the other direction when he actually dies. We'll be like, is he really dead, or is he gonna come popping out from behind a bush? Like we're just so messed up by this one human being that I just never hold my breath for anything anymore. That's me being glass half empty.
Yeah, no, I'm fully with you. Like, somebody said this in the chat, and I want to acknowledge it, that Mike Brock is a respectable person. He is a CEO who worked at Block, a large tech company. He really knows what he's talking about. I don't have any doubt that he does have connections and sources. And I have seen him as a reasonable enough person that I don't think he would go out on a limb like this unless he had something really, really rock solid. Do I think that means that he's right? I don't know, I believe in him.
Because then you're relying on the person who told him to be right, who's relying on the person who told them to be right. Like he could be.
Right. And it could be a giant game of telephone, right? Like this Mark Slipinski person tweeted that it was a stroke, right? Well, I mean, it could be that Trump had a stroke and that they're covering it up for right now, but maybe he's not dead. Maybe something, maybe he is in a recoverable kind of way. We just don't know. And so
we don't know, but I didn't know it had been 7 days. I thought it had been like 3.
7 days since he's been seen in public.
Okay.
But his Truth Social is still being Truth Socialed, right? Which is not
Right.
him, I know. But like,
I mean,
okay.
that's so easy to fake. I mean, we could,
Yeah.
the three of us could sit down and tweet like Trump, but I don't even read him unless it comes up in my feed. That would not be hard to mimic at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess like Occam's razor, right? What is the most likely reason why we have not seen the president in a week, but there has been no statement issued?
Right.
I would say most likely is he is in a compromised medical state, but alive.
Right.
That's my hunch.
Sure. Occam's razor would be he tripped, he hit his face on something, he's got a horrible bruise, and so doesn't want to be seen or pictured or anything, but he's, fully alive and well, cogent in if we can use that word.
That orange makeup covers a lot.
That's true. That's true. Orange foundation. He uses International Orange Foundation because it's the same shade as the Golden Gate Bridge. I mean, that shit'll cover anything.
I mean, it would cover bruises. I'm no makeup expert. I would think so. Yeah, it feels irresponsible to guess. I think it is worth reporting, though, that people of note are coming out with some pretty big statements.
Yeah.
And the way I don't want to get FBI if you're listening. I'm very careful here, right?
Offense.
Yeah, nothing crazy, but when I clicked through that headline that I sent out to the two of you a couple of days ago that said the 47th president, I think it just said the 47th president is dead, right?
Yeah. That was, Mike Brock's headline is the 47th president of the United States is dead. His death is currently being covered up is the subtitle. Yeah.
Someone put it in the comments. If this ends up being correct, I'm going to become a paid subscriber. And if it doesn't, I suggest you reconsider your sources. And I think that's the right attitude.
I know that is a big gamble, right?
It's a huge professional gamble, except I don't know. We're in such a post-truth world, is it?
Well,
it got us all talking about him.
Right.
This might be a good segue too, but like Dr. Oz got on and they were interviewing and saying, what person gets yearly physicals many, many times a year? Like, why would and he goes, his answer was
just
the dumbest non-doctor answer. But he goes, he just likes getting great results. So he goes back for more. Like, what a stupid, he's a doctor. Like, what a stupid answer. Like, that just makes it worse. You just made it worse. Now we know there's a problem.
It was such a, you have a lot of kids too, Ellie. I mean, you have twice as many as I have. But I remember years ago reading about it was something about don't praise your child's achievements, praise their efforts. That's supposed to raise a happier kid. And so the thing that came out about it was I can't remember the whole discourse, but it was like good pointing. Like when they were supposed to be picking the right thing, that you'd be like, good pointing. And I feel like this is Dr. Oz saying about our president, like, good pointing, sir.
Right.
Did you take that cognitive test? I mean, in my past life, many past lives ago, professionally, I was a speech pathologist. I worked with stroke patients with dementia, traumatic brain injuries. Like, I know how all those tests work. And I'm like, the quick fox jumped over the is he going in and doing cognitive tests like that? Those are not Mensa tests, sir. Those are tests.
I don't even think they do IQ tests anymore because there's this theory that the IQ scaling doesn't actually mean anything.
Right.
So most places don't even use that test anymore. So he's not taking an IQ test.
Yeah, it's basically saying it's basically saying he's not scared of going to the doctor. He doesn't even need a lollipop after he goes.
No, he does get a lollipop and a sticker.
Well, he does get a lollipop, but he doesn't need one.
No, right. But still, he's the president. And these aren't those shitty little dum-dum oh, sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Those little dum-dum lollipops. These are the good rainbow ones.
Right.
Only the best for our president.
And the stickers, right? The puppy
stickers. You did a good job.
Good job, Mr. President.
100% good health.
I don't know. Okay, so I don't know if he's dead or if he's not dead, but I do know that we did this 6 months ago. Wasn't there another time that he kind of disappeared? I don't know how long he disappeared for that time. I don't remember how long, but it was just
It was like
bad.
5 or 6 days. And then there was also
Yeah.
one with Netanyahu where Netanyahu wasn't around
Yeah.
for like
Yes,
a week
yes.
or something. And then, yeah, like somebody posted on the Mike Brock thing, like, I don't want to get my heart broken. You know, I don't want to get my hopes up.
Seriously, it's a weird place to be because you're like, I've never felt like this about a human being before. But I always in my head, and I know people don't like this comparison, but I think about like, you know, in the times of any major authoritarian who was like a murderous, cruel dictator, that people wish they were dead because it protected them and it protected their families and it protected more peoples. Like it wasn't just like I want somebody to die because I'm a terrible person. It's like this. I mean, and granted, he has a whole wave of people behind it, but it's just the potential to stop the cruelty that is every day where people are being shipped off. There are hunger strikes happening at Delaney Hall because of the conditions. Like people, you know, all this talk about like stupid. I've been watching these congressional hearings and like how they're just talking about all the theft and terrible people who are stealing their food stamps. And I just wanted to be like, are you kidding me? There is a UFC cage on the front lawn of the White House, and you think that somebody's like going in for more extra canned, you know, tomato soup. Like it's just so cruel, and it's cruel in front of us and in our faces all day long. And the idea of him going away is just the idea of maybe we can get a breath, or we can get a foot up, or we can maybe gain some ground to stop this absolute waterfall of cruelty that just is every day in our lives, that even if it's just inundating our mental real estate every day and affecting our mental health and depression and things like that, like he has an effect on all of us that is negative, even his followers. And it's just the idea of the chance to walk away from that.
Yeah. And Ellie, I think to kind of drive that point home, it's in part because what we've seen so far is that his weird, crazy charisma isn't available to anybody else, right? Like JD Vance doesn't have it. Marco Rubio doesn't have it. None of his kids have it. Whatever crazy, magical, evil charisma that this guy has, where he can say the most insane things and get away with the most insane things and do horribly stupid and cruel things and get away with it, you know, and continue to fall upwards. Maybe that ends with him, right? And so I think that is part of, you know, the underlying piece you're talking about is, yes, we could catch a breath, and then maybe things would start to return to, like, gravity would apply again, you know, like the other Republicans aren't going to be able to continue to do.
Like the trance would be lifted from all the people he works with.
The spell would be broken, you know, spell is broken.
It's very Wizard of Oz. There's so many metaphors that you can pull from Wizard of Oz, but anyway.
Yeah. The Dr. Oz reference, though, was a great segue, Ellie, into what we want to talk about next. So we don't know, you know, allegedly, FBI, don't come after us, all that stuff. But Dana, you recently wrote an essay that you published on Blue Ant Media responding directly to a statement that Dr. Oz had made recently. And it was just this insane statement that he had made about America being under-babied. And you wrote this beautiful essay. I'm going to grab the link and put it in all of the chats. Your response is, America isn't under-babied, it's motherless. Give us a quick précis of the essay for the folks in the chat who haven't read it yet.
Sure. I heard the Dr. Oz comment about us being under-babied, and like millions of us, I bristled. And I also thought, well, he's not wrong. Like numerically, we have never had a lower replacement rate on births to adults. I think we want to be at around 2.5, and we're at 1.6 babies per birthable human. So we are under baby. That has really dire consequences for our economy, I understand. But it is such a patriarchal, everything that is wrong about the MAGA world we're living in, to just top-down demand, we're under-babied, go make babies, without addressing any of the systematic reasons why we are under-babied. And I made the second half of the title where motherless on purpose, as a play on words. One, we're motherless, as in we have fewer mothers in the literal sense, but the other is motherless is the name of the website that CNN did a deep dive on about a month ago. Feels like a year ago, but it was actually a month ago, with the quote sleep porn problem. And I'm putting sleep porn in quotes because it was the women were not sleeping, and it was not just porn, it was rape. It was husbands and boyfriends forming a community around drugging their partners, raping them, because sex is always rape when the woman cannot consent, the person cannot consent, and then posting it online for other men to see. There were about 20,000 of these videos. There was a big uproar. I won't get into all the details, but the site did come down, which felt good. That site, I found out right after I heard this Under-Babied comment, that site is back up. And it is sort of self-policing. The only information I can find about it is minimal, and it's the owner of the site being like, oh yeah, we've got some AI tools, but they're flawed. And also there's a report button on every video. You can just click the report. We count on our community to keep this all legal and above ground. And I'm like, you're counting on a community of rapists to report the rape.
The self-report,
And I realize those two stories aren't one-to-one connected, but systemically they absolutely are. Because motherless is the most dramatic example of how much the United States doesn't protect women, doesn't keep it, hasn't made our country a safe place for families. And at the end of the day, it's about the United States hates women. I'm working on a follow-up essay, and that is the working title. And Andrew Watkins, if you're listening out there, you were the one you wrote that in a note. And that really hit home for me of like, oh, why not state it bluntly? The US hates women. It sees us as a mechanism for birth and subjugation by men. And so with that at the extreme, how can you expect to create an environment where young people want to make babies, want to raise families? And this essay gets into a lot of the other kind of less outlier ways in which the United States is not safe for families and kids as well. But, to answer the initial question of under-babied versus motherless, that was the round trip.
You have a quote in there. You make the point of the same movement demanding more babies calls women penis homes and jokes about breeding gulags.
Oh my God!
What is this incoherence that is at the heart of this movement that seems to want to turn the clock back to the 1800s or the 1700s and wants more babies? And let's just be clear. Let's be honest. Everyone, we're going to be really honest and say when they say they want more babies, they mean white babies, because immigration is the thing that keeps America at a replenishment rate, right? And they don't want immigration. They've explicitly said they don't want black and brown and Asian people. They want white babies, but at the same time, they hate women. They absolutely hate women. I know that wasn't a question.
No, but there's a question in there, which is there's an understated question in there of how does this dichotomy exist, right? And I think it is hard for me to get into the mental space of these men. I don't want to live in the mental space of Nick Fuentes, but I think that they think it is a coherent path. Women should not vote. They should not have jobs. They should not have credit or rights. We capture them when they're young and we marry them when they're young enough that they don't know any better. And we make them stay home and make families and listen to the men. To them, that's a very coherent worldview. And that is the worldview we are moving toward. What they are reckoning with is the rest of us who are like, no, absolutely. The end of the essay has a bit of an F-bomb in it, but abso-blank-and-lutely not. Not you're going to have to fight through us first. So I think to them it's not a contradiction. It's a logical path.
Yeah.
But to those of us, to women like me who are younger, though, who are considering starting families, to women like my daughters who are coming of age, they see this and are like, this is not safe,
Right.
right? And they see the other things I talk about in this story about the astronomical costs of healthcare, of daycare, of college, the lack of community support.
Mhm.
And hold on, I'm going to pop open my story here so I can look at my own work. One of the biggest ones is how much more dangerous it has become in the last year or so to be pregnant in the United States.
Mm.
Mhm.
When Roe v. Wade fell and legislation started coming into place to restrict access to abortion, that didn't just impact women who want abortions, though it is catastrophic for them.
Right.
It impacts all women of reproductive age because OBGYNs are leaving the field, rural hospitals. There are states where there are almost no birthing centers. People have to drive like crazy distance to find medical care for their pregnancy and their birth. And pregnancy is such a vulnerable act. It is an immense act to grow a baby. I have done it twice. Thankfully, my pregnancies were, normal and healthy. But birth involved complications. I had 2 C-sections. And you cannot, if you know 3 or 4 people, trust me, you know people who have miscarried or had very complicated births or have had to make the hard decision to terminate a wanted pregnancy.
Right.
Because the system is deeply flawed. I don't know whose idea it was to like push the watermelon out the size of a quarter. That is a flawed system. I'm being a little tongue in cheek there, but there have been women are dying because they have wanted pregnancies with complications, and they go to hospitals or to their doctors, and the legal team gets involved and is like, well, we can't take action because this could be construed as abortive care. And I named some of them in the story: Nevaeh Crane, Gisele Barnica, and Jennifer Alvarez Estrada Glick. Like, these are women who died because they could not get the care they needed with wanted pregnancies.
Yeah.
So if my daughters were to get pregnant, first of all, I'd be like, you're 16 and 18. Why are you pregnant? Didn't we talk about this? But also, a little down the road, if they decided they were ready to start a family, I would be terrified for them right now.
Yeah.
Simply because the same choices are not available now that were back when I got pregnant in the 2007 and 2009. And that is a blight. That is like a tragedy to be able to say in the United States.
I have like multiple thoughts about this. I don't know that they are connected in any way, so I'm just gonna be like, "Pachoo." But the first thought I had in all that is like all these men want women to not work, and yet they're creating an economy that's not survivable on one income, which I think is kind of funny and ironic. But also, like, people forget, with the repeal of Roe v. Wade, that when you have a miscarriage, if you are past a certain point, in order to go to the doctor, you can't just pass on your own. You have to go to the doctor to get it, like, literally removed from your body. That's called a DNC.
Yeah.
That is an abortion. Even if you've had a miscarriage, even if this is not your plan and you were going to carry a baby to term and be, love that baby, like, that's considered a miscarriage. And these women who have miscarriages are going into sepsis and dying because they have a baby who has died inside of them that they cannot get out on their own.
Right.
And people forget that. People forget that they are crossing state lines to just like heal from a miscarriage, and that they're dying from that. But also another thing that I think about is like, I the quote from Mark Driscoll in your essay, I used to go to Mark Driscoll's church, and I was of a different mind back then because I was that like young, you should have lots of babies, and like it's very, the trad wife, and just like, oh, this is so great. But I remember sitting there as he was pushing these narratives, and he wrote books about marriage and like what the perfect marriage should look like and what your wife's role is and all that stuff. And I remember feeling really bad and going like, wait, hold on. like, you're telling me that I'm doing it wrong. Like, every day he would say, you're not a good wife unless, and then he would list all the things that his wife is doing. And it was like, well, I'm not doing that. Like, am I a bad wife? Am I a bad person? And it took that whole church burning down basically for me to be like, oh, the idea, the spell is lifted. I can now see the forest for all the trees. But this idea of women should also suffer pain. Like, not only do these things, but it's an honor to suffer. Like, it's an honor to suffer. And that was a thing that was taught to me and a lot of women my age. I've had 4 kids. I had only one pregnancy where I had an epidural because I was taught that you are not supposed to. You are supposed to enjoy a natural labor. You're supposed to feel that pain. I was taught that, right?
Oh my God.
To the point of breaking my tailbone mid-birth. Like, I broke bones. And it's this idea that women are supposed to suffer to become mothers, to become better mothers, right? To become superheroes. And I just think about, like, what person would sit through surgery without an anesthetic and be like, I'm going to have, pelvic surgery. Don't give me any pain medicine. And we're taught that. We're taught that that's an honor point to do that with our bodies. And the level of pain you go through when you give birth to a child is like, I don't know what the pain scale, but it's like the highest thing you can experience pain-wise. Like, there is not much worse pain than that. But that is, we're told we're supposed to do that. That is what it means to have a proper birth or a good birth. And I remember with my 4th kid, because I broke my bones on my 3rd kid, I was just like, give it all to me. And I remember people telling me your baby's going to be sleepy. You're not going to be able to recover very fast and hold your baby. None of that was true. Not a single part of that was true. Baby was not sleepy. I could walk around. Everything was normal. It just didn't hurt. And I remember looking at my husband going like, what the hell were people telling us? We could have been doing this the whole time.
Right.
And it was very frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating, but that's just, there's a very long conversation about women and medical care and the standard that women receive versus men, and how long it takes us to get care for pain, to say that we have something wrong and be listened to. It is massive, and it's been a problem, since the beginning of time. I read a book, and I forget who wrote it, but I read a book where they would test gynecological procedures on Black women because they believed that Black women's pain sensors were different than white women.
Oh.
And it was not men. It was not men they were testing. It was always women. And in this case, it was Black women, which, get lesser treatment than white women. And it's been centuries of this. And I think women are just becoming very smart. Like, my daughter's like, I'm not having kids before I'm 35 years old. I'm going to go off and travel the world and have the career I want and decide to settle down when I want to, which is like so foreign to the way I was raised to think. And I just think that a lot of women and girls are waking up to that and going, I don't have to do these things in order to have value. And so if you men want to have children, there's lots of children in the world that need parents. You go get them. Go be parents. Like,
you go get those babies.
I don't have to do that for you. You can do that all by yourself.
Right. Right. Oh, it is so interesting that, I mean, I'm a gay man. I am not having a child. It's not a natural piece of anything that I do.
Not for lack of trying, though, Lawrence.
Not for lack of trying. Right? I would have to go adopt or hire a surrogate or something like that. But just the whole socialization that we're given as people growing up in this country, the idea of, it's so natural. Like, women's bodies are made to forget the pain of childbirth so that they want to have another kid. Like, that is a thing that I have been told, since I was a child. And it's not true, right? Like, it is certifiably, utterly false. But it is part of this. Well, no, I'm setting it up because I want to hear your comments on this. But, like, why is that set up for us as, that and kind of the women suffer because of Eve, right?
Yeah. One of those damn women in the Bible, they're always causing problems.
Right.
The only thing that's true about that statement about the pain is that for all human things, you can't remember pain. You can remember, that hurt me a lot, but by design, we can't
Mhm.
remember a pain and be like, oh yes, that felt like this when I broke my bone.
Mhm.
Sure.
But I did not have a natural birth, but I went as long as I could with my first one, and I have never been bowled over by pain like labor.
Mhm.
I think I made it to about 7 or 8 centimeters before I was like, "Get me a goddamn epidural!" And then they're like, as you're like, I remember that like I got in the hot tub because I love hot baths, and there was like a birthing suite at the hospital with the hot tub,
Yes.
and I get in this like very shallow tub, and it's like lukewarm at best. And
Mhm.
now
Right.
I'm like naked and slippery and having
And it's hard to
massive
get out. You
contractions,
can't get
and
out
I
once
couldn't
you're
get
in there.
out. Yeah. And I was like, I'm like a beach whale. Like
Yeah.
it was horrible. So I was
It's
like, get
horrible.
me
Like,
out and
none of
get
my
me an
kids
epidural. And
I had
and
one
then they're
kid
like,
born in a bedroom who was in a pool, and that was it. Nobody else wanted to come out in the water.
oh my God. I was like, uh, and then they were like, okay, you're going to need to stay very still because if you move while we're giving you the epidural, you know, we could paralyze you and you're in like the worst pain of your
Awesome.
life. But you have to stay still. But that
Awesome.
epidural, sweet mercy, that was good. I
That's
cannot
great.
believe
Yeah.
that you had 3 natural births because
Well,
your
and it's
church told you
interesting.
you had to.
Right. Church found everything. Like, it's really
Ah,
interesting because, like, you don't, like, pain is a weird thing to be able to remember or forget, but you internalize stuff that you don't realize that you
yes.
internalize. And when I came after, like, a traumatic birth, like with my third, he was just gigantic. All my other kids were like 7 pounders. He was 9.5,
Oh,
and he was a surprise, and he was stuck, and everything went wrong. But
oh, honey, I'm
after
sorry.
that, they asked, they asked if we wanted counseling, and I was like, was it really that bad? And they said, yeah, it was really that bad. And to me, I was just like, well, birth is just bad. Like, birth is just hard and it hurts really, really
Mm.
bad. So I didn't recognize that that was bad. But when we went to go have my last son, I had a full-blown panic attack. This is 2 years later. I had a panic
Oh,
attack on the way to the hospital because I was so scared, and I didn't know until that moment that the last birth had affected me that way. I just didn't think about it for 2 years, didn't worry about it, and then on the way to the hospital, I completely just
Oh,
freaked
Ellie.
out, and it was just all on the inside. So, like, you don't forget, your body remembers, but it just stores it away in a way that you can function. And
Yes.
nobody tells you these things. Like, nobody prepares you for those things. They're just
Mhm.
like, you can handle it because you're a mother, right? You got this.
right.
100%. And
Yeah.
are we under baby now? Well, it's not because birth hurts. Like we and
No.
babies are everyone in the chat is weighing in with all the women with like how big their babies were. And
Yeah,
to
giant.
all of
I
you
know.
women, my God, like I am tipping my hat to you. 2 C-sections in the end for me because yeah, mine wasn't that big, but she's got a really big head,
Yeah.
Mhm.
as it
That
turns out.
matters.
Well, let's
It does. But
let's
should we shift
well,
topics?
I want to ask you like one final question by way of
Okay.
sort of shifting us. So you get into policy a little bit in the essay. You talk
Yeah.
about um, there are 8 reasons that you list why women, why America's underbabied, why women don't want to do this, why the birth rate is falling,
Mhm.
and 6 of those are fixable with policy, like paid leave, childcare, maternal
Yeah.
health care.
Oh,
Um, what do you think? I mean, this is such a big question, but what do you think it is that's stopping us from making those things a priority that policy could fix or make better?
It's a great question. And
capitalism.
honestly,
Right.
what did you say, Ellie?
Capitalism.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
go on.
capitalism.
Well, yes, and I would like capitalism, and because the US hates women. The people in charge of the US hate women. The people, our party, the party that's not in charge, we care about women, but not as much as we care about other things. And we talk about
Women
the
don't
big
care about women.
yeah,
Lauren
we've got
Boebert's
like
like, I went to
big
work the next
tent.
day.
Let's put the big tent up and maybe we can let some anti-abortion candidates in because
Mhm.
that doesn't negate bodily autonomy for what is it now,
Right.
51% almost of the
Right.
population. I like honestly, right now, what's stopping us is that we have like deranged lunatic billionaire oligarchs running our country. So why do they care other than they need worker bees to replace the other worker bees? That's the
Right.
only reason they're squawking about underbabied. Well, that and that they want to keep women subjugated to keep mediocre on down white men happy and wived and getting laid. I don't know that.
Although
So-
maybe we have one less of those elite billionaire classes if the first thing we talked about is true.
Hey, FBI, we're not making threats.
Right,
No,
right.
I repeat, we are not
Subject.
making threats.
I
Simply
will say
repeating
one
gossip.
last.
Yeah.
I was going to say one last thing before we move on is that, you know, those graphs that are just maddening about first world countries and what they offer parents when they have a newborn,
Yeah.
and that we are the only one who offers them nothing. Like, you're offered by law, you can get 12 weeks off, but you're not paid anything
Unpaid.
unless your job pays for it. And then they keep half of that. But that's what happened to me. They're like, we pay you, we actually take half of it back.
Taxes, yeah.
Every other country has a year off paid, both parents a year off. Like, it is wild that we have nothing.
Well, and to put the pin in that, right, to really drive the point home, a lot of those generous packages that have been offered in things like the tech sector are being rolled back currently.
Yeah.
They're being rolled back, and also they're being offered to people who have white collar big jobs.
Right.
That feels so unstable right now. And I talk about this in the essay that AI has made every day that I show up for work, I'm like, I am one riff away from never working again.
Yeah.
But I'm coming at it as a, you know, woman in her mid 50s who has 30 years of work and some equity built. Like, what if you're 27 and you're thinking of starting a family and you have, you know, paid leave and you have decent medical care, but you know any minute
Right.
that not only is the level of care declining, but it might just go away because this is a country that doesn't, like, you have to, your healthcare is tied to your work. Your benefits are tied to your work. And when you have, when we're on the precipice of such change, and that's going to be a nice segue to your story, Lawrence, we are financially and professionally on the precipice of, we don't even know what. So it's so destabilizing. And in order to start a family, I mean, even when we started our family, it felt really scary of like, can we really afford this? But we both had jobs, and the understanding that, like, if this job goes away, there are other jobs. We're not rich people, but like, we both have skills that we know will be employable for the long run. There is no longer a long run, and no one knows what skills will still be employable, if any of them.
Right.
Lawrence, what do you think about AI in the workplace?
Well,
volleyball, hit it over the head.
Nicely done. Let me just spike that.
This concludes our Under-Babied talk. Please come visit my story and leave comments if you'd like to keep the conversation going.
And I mean, not a joke. I think we've started to illustrate how these stories are actually connected, right? And they really, really are, because, you know, part of the answer to your story, Dana, is capitalism, late stage capitalism and patriarchy, right? And white supremacy. And, you know, not to kind of draw things, you know, to make too fine a point on it, but I wrote two articles recently. The first one has done exceptionally well on Blue Amp. It's called "This Is Not a Recession, It's Worse," and it's about how we're living inside the cushion of the pre-war prices. We're about to basically enter a recession because prices are about to spike so much, even more, and then kind of goes on to reveal that we're actually in a recession now because the big tech companies are spending $650 billion this year on AI data center build-outs that are artificially propping up the rest of the economy. We've grown 0% on a GDP basis if you take that spending out. And then I got really inspired, in part by the exceptional Erin Brockovich, who has now turned her focus onto these data centers and where they're being built. And I wrote an essay called "The Cloud Has to Land Somewhere." And that is very specifically about what is happening with these data center build-outs, the $650 billion that is being spent. And here's the scene that I started off this essay with. And it's this couple, Beverly and Jeff Morris, who live in Newtown County, Georgia. And in 2018, Meta built a data center on land nearby, like 1,000 feet away from their home. And this is a rural part of Georgia. You know, it's farming, it's you know, small family farms, and people who are just living, you know, who want to live in a rural environment, most people are on well water. Well,
Well,
after several months of this data center being open, the private well that the Morrises have had on their property that basically runs their dishwasher and their ice maker, their washing machine, the toilet, the water they drink, all started faltering. They spent $5,000 trying to fix it, only to basically learn that it would take $25,000 to basically drill a new well because the data center was sucking so much groundwater out that the water table had changed. And so this is just one small example of what is happening in rural America because of the data center build out. And again, like, we think about AI, we think about the impacts on our society. We often think about white collar jobs and how all of that is changing. And as Dana just said, you know, in a lot of ways, maybe going away in ways we don't understand. It's also impacting these rural communities and these farming communities as well. So I'm going to pause there and open it up for questions.
I absolutely think that that's happening because you look, I mean, I moved here from Montana, and people look at places like Montana and Wyoming and Idaho as like a gold mine because the property is so vast. It's a lot cheaper than other places.
Yep.
And so you have, I mean, I know for a fact that the tech bros like Elon come and they meet in Montana once a year. They have this event once a year that's like a sleepover where they go over there and they make plans. And
they give each other back rubs. They talk about their boyfriends.
Like it's really, I want to write about it, but I need to figure out more information. But I know that it happens. Like it's a well-known thing that they come out there. Because again, you have people like Rupert Murdoch who has property out there. You have all these bigwigs who buy property in the middle of nowhere and no one knows they're there. Montana is the fourth biggest state in America. It has 1 million people as its total population. So like there's room to disappear. But I remember this even when I was growing up. We lived on the Olympic Peninsula of Washington State, and they were building a Microsoft center up there that was secretive. Nobody was supposed to know about it except for people in our town were actually helping build it. And I don't know whatever happened to that, but that was an opportunity for them to go into these quiet rural towns and put in these massive institutional facilities that then pull all the resources away from very blue collar communities, people who can't afford to raise all their utility rates and redig a well and do all these things. But I know that those are the places they're seeking. They don't want to go to New York City. They want to go to Wyoming. They want to build on land that is still untouched. It has never been built on since the beginning of time. And so they're going in and they're ruining these little tiny rural happy places because they want to build these big data centers in the middle of, rural land.
Yeah. Yeah. We, on the Daily Whatever show a couple of weeks ago, we had someone, a buddy of ours, Jason Odell, talking about this story out of Fayette County, Georgia, where a data center had gone into the community, and it took months for them to realize that the data center had 2 illegal hookups to the water distribution system and had illegally consumed 29 million gallons of water without paying for it.
Of course.
And when they got caught,
people didn't have any water. Like they didn't know why they didn't have water.
Right. People were wondering why their water pressure had gone away and they didn't have any water. And when all of this got discovered, the utility, the water utility, basically didn't charge them any kind of fee or penalty or anything like that. And the reason given was, well, they're our biggest customer. This is called customer service. Right. It's like they can still steal 29 million gallons of water.
Such a metaphor for the United States of America.
Right.
Too big to fail. They're just too big to fail.
Too big to fail.
Yeah. And in the chat, I see Fig5 has said they need to sue. They're going for communities that don't have the resources to sue.
Right. Right.
Suing is very expensive.
We're talking about small communities that usually have some kind of community oversight board or organization that's relatively small, right? That is maybe half volunteer because people get elected to these county oversight boards, and it's not a full-time job. It's something they do sort of to partially augment their other job. And these people don't have the ability, right? Like normally they get approached by a data center like this and they're like, oh my God, a huge windfall. We're going to get this big tax base that moves into our, but it's not, because these data centers are now built in such a way that it's a staff of maybe a couple dozen people, even for a gigantic facility. So you're not bringing into the county hundreds and thousands of really great paying jobs that can elevate the tax base. You're building this giant piece of infrastructure that really is only going to bring a couple dozen good paying jobs into the community at best. And so it's a swindle. It's a swindle. And sorry, I could absolutely monologue. I'm trying to pretend like I'm pausing for questions.
Just go.
Yeah. I'm reading. So there's so many comments coming in the chat. I cannot read all of them, but I'm taking them in, and we so appreciate all of your inputs to this conversation. It really feels secretive. Like I'm reading one right now from Blonde Legally about Atlanta, where Lawrence and I both used to live many years ago, and how the one you're talking about is at the very southern tip of the Appalachian Mountains, which is not, and it's going on about it's competing with the same aquifer that's feeding Lake Oconee.
Yeah.
And they're not getting geologists or ecologists or geographers involved in any of these decisions. Of course not, because we need our iPhones to create summaries of our texts automatically before we open our texts.
Right.
Yeah.
I have been thinking so much this week about passive AI and how angry it's making.
And you gave me homework to figure out how much passive AI there was versus active AI, and I haven't done it. I'm embarrassed to say.
It was only like yesterday, Lawrence. So you don't have to drop everything. These things takes research.
Yeah. But one of the things that I wanted to transition to, so in the article, I kind of talk about three big things: electricity, or water, heat, and electricity, right? And what we are seeing with water is also happening with electricity. And when you take the water and the electricity together, part of what's happening here is these data centers run incredibly hot. They need this much water because they use massive amounts of evaporative cooling. So the water, it's not like the water is used in a recyclable way where it gets, entered back into a filtration system and can be used again. The water evaporates because there's so much heat generated from these data centers, from these machines running at full capacity nonstop, that there's a data center that's being put in a small valley in Utah. And it's being spearheaded in part by Kevin O'Leary, the guy from Shark Tank, who is Canadian and an asshole. And
those two things don't usually go hand in hand.
Right. They don't usually, but in this case, he's a Canadian asshole. Yeah. It just goes to show you anyone can be an asshole. They're gay, straight, black, white, brown, Canadian.
You give them $1 billion,
if you
and
give
that's
them $1 billion,
what happens.
Right. Yeah.
The children
because capitalism.
Because capitalism and patriarchy. Yeah. So Utah is fighting back. There's a group fighting back out of Utah. And part of the data that they've gathered is they had a physicist calculate how much heat will be generated by this data center. And the number is insane. There are approximately 23 Hiroshima bombs worth of heat that are going to be released from that data center every day that it runs. Every day.
Do you see my brain exploding out of my head?
So to be really clear, it's obviously not all being released at one time. That was the Hiroshima bomb, right? The fact that was so devastating was it was all that heat at once.
But still,
this is spread out over a day. But think about a drying valley in Utah next to a small lake that is evaporating, that is drying. And now that local environment is going to have 23 Hiroshima bombs worth of heat released over the course of every day. Tell me that isn't going to change the local environment. They're expecting that it will raise the ambient temperature in that valley by 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Where,
That's
can you
not
repeat where this
sustainable.
valley is? My head went like all the
Yeah, I
bombs.
got on the temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where is this?
Yeah. So this is it's called the Stratos Project, and it's nicknamed Wonder Valley. And it's in
Wonder.
Box Elder County, Utah, just to the north of the
Named after
already
a
shrinking
bug.
Great Salt Lake.
That's really terrible. That's just like that's, you know, that I guess that's like an example of our direct effect on the climate change, like by pressing a button. But I'm also wondering, like, what kind of materials are they using in these data centers that can withstand that type of heat long term? And then what chemicals are they releasing
Right.
as a result of that?
Well, and Ellie, honestly, there's a whole essay that I could write there. I've got a list now, you guys, of like 25 essays that I'm going to write on this top, like AI and the economy.
Yeah.
And one of them is about how the inputs piece of it, the chips, NVIDIA is this maker of these things called GPU chips, which are graphic processing units. This kind of weird thing where they figured out that the chips that best run these large language models are actually graphic processing chips, which were originally just used to like make a really kick-ass video game. So there are these data centers that are all running these GPU chips. All of those chips use rare earth minerals, which China has a giant monopoly on, because even though those rare earth minerals are mined in many places around the world, only China spent the last 20 years. I'm sorry, every time I say it, I hear China. Only China had, Trump.
Yeah. I thought that's
China,
who you were imitating. Just wanted to.
Only China had the wherewithal over the last 20 years to build the refining facilities that turn these raw ores for these rare earth minerals into actual usable, sellable minerals. So we are now addicted, like really literally, this entire giant piece of the economy that they're trying to build out is addicted, is dependent on these rare earth minerals that really only come from China as a sourcer of the refined minerals. And they're very limited. Right. And
it's like oil. It's like, why we get away from oil? Because oil is limited. What are we just gonna, is this the new oil?
It's the new oil. That is a great way to describe it, Ellie. It is. We are turning places, like someone in the chat just pointed out, there's this insane deal in Kazakhstan for a mine that mines these rare earth minerals. Guess who's involved in financing that mine? The Trump family, the Trump boys.
Kushner.
Right. Kushner and the Trump family.
Yeah.
That's my shock. I'm working on my shocked face.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's I mean, I go back, I'm a broken record of how much I really hate billionaires, but like the idea that they would create an industry that's like, it only will survive on orphans' tears. You know what I mean? Like they pick the things that are the most environmentally unsustainable, necessary, goes into other people's countries and devastates their land to, like, in order to do another billionaire thing. Like a billionaire thing will never be something that is good for anybody.
Right. In order to do another billionaire thing. I love the way you state that, Ellie. And so true.
Ellie's coined like 4 or 5 really good turns of phrase in this one session so far.
We're gonna need to go back and look at the transcript that AI is generating for us. Like even that, like I know I'm a little obsessed, Lawrence knows this, about this passive use of AI that's running when we're not asking for it. Right. Like, does it have to download a transcript for every single live on Substack? Or maybe can it only do it if someone requests it? Because how many
thumbnail, the ugly thumbnails, right?
Right. Lawrence, I had a question. I know we're actually exactly
we're at time, so we've got to wrap this up. But go ahead.
Most conversations about AI end with either optimism or doom, and you end with local action. So if someone listening is fired up and wants to do something, like what can we realistically do to try to make an impact here?
Yeah, so I really wanted to feature Erin Brockovich and the work that she's doing, because she is taking her expertise in community organizing around water issues And she has created a website called brockovichdatacenter.com. I'm going to grab that link and put it into all the chats. And so there's a map that's basically community generated. If you've got a big data center going into your community, you can, and it hasn't been noted yet, you can put it on the map. And she's using that as a place to start organizing people around resistance, because part of what we're seeing is that resistance is working. In some of these cases, people have been able to stop or massively change the scope of a data center going into their community. And I think this is the kind. So the main piece I want to take away from this is, and a thing that I'm becoming really vehement about, is AI is being foisted upon us in a way that nobody really understands, and it is being done by the dumbest people alive, right? Like the Trump administration is exactly the wrong set of dum-dums to be trying to put policy around this. And the billionaires, the tech billionaires, the oligarchs are the wrong people to be making decisions about how this should be implemented. We must come together and advocate for more sensible ways of doing this. There are plenty of people who say like, oh, well, we can't stop it. Sure. But we can change it. We can change the way it's being implemented. We can think about what it means for us, what it means for the land, what it means for the people, what it means for jobs, what it means for wages, all of it. We need to come together to organize around that. And a point I make over and over again is the first party that actually articulates this as a motive force behind their policies is going to win a generational mandate. If only the fucking Democrats were smart enough to see this and not be bought off by the same people who bought off the Republican Party, we could be building a true generational change force in American politics right now, in global politics, which is where we actually need it.
Yes, agreed.
You've got my vote, Lawrence. Bravo.
Well, I mean, it way too many porn videos of me out there.
You know, the kids don't care about that. Everybody.
Honestly, I think maybe the next generation just being like, oh, what? You had an OnlyFans? Who cares?
Right. Me too. That'll be the new Me Too.
Right.
Hashtag Me Too. Haven't we all? We gotta make ends meet in this.
Right. Hey, AI's putting me out of a job. Papa needs a new pair of shoes. Come on, don't judge.
Right? So you know that AI is gonna beat us all in that game too. Like
probably. Honestly, I could just claim deep fakes, right? That's not actually me. That's a deep fake.
I am far more manly.
Right.
I'm kidding. I'm
Right.
kidding about that last part.
That's our show so far. This was a hell of a lot of fun, you two. We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. And it came full circle on a lot of these points. It's the same forces driving so many of these like apocalyptic feeling issues we're up against.
Oh,
like,
can I say one more thing? Because I'm seeing people talk about electricity in the chat, and I just want to say, like, here's another piece out of my article that I want to explode people's brains with. The AI data centers consume so much electricity that Microsoft has restarted 3 Mile Island. Yes, that's right, 3 Mile Island, the plant that melted down when we were kids back in the 80s. It is being restarted, and awesome. Microsoft has a contract to buy every fucking watt of power that comes out of that to run its AI data centers.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
Had a happy thought.
Yeah.
3 Mile. Wow, that's for Gen Xers like us, Lawrence. That's like.
See, my family all grew up by Hanford Nuclear Center, and all that.
Sure.
Like, they all found out later that they were testing the water on people who lived around there, and they had a huge class action lawsuit because they were putting chemicals in the water on purpose. Like this, we need to call Aaron. Just get her on.
Yeah. Aaron Brockovich, if you're listening, please come join us. We want to talk to you.
Wouldn't that be a dream?
I don't think this is hopeless, but I do think that there are many ways in which we need to take back action, because by doing this and motivating people around what's going on with AI and data centers, we need those same people for the fight to recapture women's rights and codify things like the right to bodily autonomy and the right to choose. So it's all one and
It is
the
all
same.
tied
It's
up.
all part and parcel.
You want us making more babies? I mean, not me, I'm done making babies, but you want women making more babies? You got to pay attention to the issues we care about and make us feel safe. How would you want to bring a baby into the world where you might turn on your tap water and it's green or dry
Right.
permanently?
Right. Because
Right.
the data center that got put in next door sucked all the groundwater up. Yep.
For free, because there were no repercussions, because they're the best customer. It's customer service that you have no water now or green water.
Right.
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 On that note, Ellie, close us out. What do you want to say?
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I was going to point to this little tiny QR code in the
Please do.
corner. That is for a website called SOAR, which stands for Speak Out, Act, and Reclaim. That is Virginia
Ooh.
Giuffre's website. It is not set up for donations yet. I know they are working on that, but I just wanted to kind of get that up there so people know where to go and what to look for. That's the thing that I've been working on, obviously, is, you know, some of the survivor justice and the Epstein Files stuff. I'm going to be popping on tonight to talk about the original, not the original survivor to come forward, because we know that women came forward, girls came forward in the 90s, but this was the first child to come forward in the case that occurred in 2008 that put him into jail. So she is 16 years old. And the abuse started when she was 14. Her parents reported it. This is her testimony. So I'm going to be reading that tonight at 9 o'clock as an ongoing effort to actually read the files and do it with, you know, a collaborative effort with the community. So that is what I am working on.
In fact, the three of us have your entire evening planned out, everyone. I am going to be on Lev Parnas's show at 7 p.m. This just happened. I will be talking more about my economy, AI and the economy essay, and about the data center essay tonight on Lev Parnas's show at 7. At 8.
Fantastic.
Well, actually, Dana, I think we don't know if we're pre-recorded or...
You know, Ogre pointed about joining us, so I think we're on.
With the opinionated Ogre and Florida Woman Votes at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then Ellie is on at 9 p.m. Eastern reading the Epstein Files. So if you love the three of us, which why wouldn't you? Come on, look at us. We're charming. Come back and we've got your entire evening covered.
Yeah. We'll get it. We'll change the world one live stream at a time.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Dana and Ellie, thank you. I think we made Cliff and David proud. And have a great afternoon, everyone.
You too, guys. We'll see you later.
Love you, Mina. Bye.
Bye.